You're looking for the truth. The power of Nietzsche, as opposed to Schopenhauer, is that Nietzsche recognizes that though the search for truth and meaning is itself pointless because it's all relative, it's not relative in the sense that there isn't any significance. The difference between Nietzsche and Schopenhauer is the fact that for Nietzsche, he's not going to slip into pessimism because Nietzsche loves his body. I mean, I'll let you fill in the blanks with how Nietzsche died, but Nietzsche loves his body, as do I. Right? No, I'm too connected to myself to fall into pessimism. Right? The sophist is in the perfect place to dialectically justify both positions. So Nietzsche says, a proposition later proved on the grand scale by the ancient philosophers from Plato onward down to Kant, they postulate the first truth that a morality in itself, a good in itself, do not exist, that it is a swindle to talk of truth in this field. I mean, that's exactly what I'm saying. This passage is absolutely critical, right? You know, when you tell someone, and I see it, every semester, it brings me great joy to tell the students, this idea of absolute truth is, it's a scary thing. I'm not going to say it doesn't exist. I am going to say that I don't have epistemological knowledge to it. So if I'm going to talk about it, I have to talk about it with respect to faith. The one thing that I will give religious community is the emphasis on faith. As long as you talk about faith, I'm willing to talk. Right? Kierkegaard got it right. He hit the ball out the park. Right? The existentialist theory that discusses anything theological having itself being rooted in faith, well, that's where you got power. Because I can't know. The second, however, that you take that faith-based, intuitive gut feeling and then postulate it as fact, that becomes problematic because now I want to see proof. Now I want you to demonstrate it. Now I want you to show me. But if you say, listen, dude, I believe because I believe that there's this other world out there. I don't know why I believe it. And I'm not trying to convince you that it exists, but I just have this feeling that it's there, and I feel like something in this universe is governing me and my actions. And hey, what am I going to? How could I possibly deny that? I can't. There's no epistemological grounds with which I could deny or refute your feeling. If you tell me, however, that you know that it exists, that you are certain that it exists, then you have to recognize that I, Nietzsche, the philosopher, the sophist, is justified in asking for a demonstration of proof. If that demonstration of proof fails, well, that's the problem. So the power position for those who are individuals of faith is never to get into the demonstration of proof. The very act of demonstrating proof undermines the entire substrate as such. This is what Nietzsche says with respect to the sophists, and this is number 6. Sophistry is the old philosophy. He says it's the traditional form, right? So we have sophistry, then we have Plato and everybody else. Quote, sophistry is the old philosophy, and it has ultimately shown itself to be right. I mean, come on, man. Like, I could imagine, like, theoretically speaking, being Nietzsche's student, right? First of all, it would be like God complex. And then for Nietzsche to give you a nod. This is like the scene in Kill Bill where Beatrix is talking to Bill, and they're at the campfire, and he's blowing the flute. And he tells her the amazing story of the Shaolin master who walks by, and he gives the dude a nod. He gives the monk a nod, like, yeah, I see you, what's up? How you doing? Hi, how's everything? He gives him a nod. He doesn't wave his hand, he doesn't smile, he just gives him the nod. The monk recognizes that the Shaolin master gives him the nod, and he doesn't reciprocate. And the master decimates everybody. He goes in there on a fit of vengeance. It's just great. It's a great scene. Dude, for Nietzsche to give the sophists a nod, this is what he says. This is a direct quote. And it has ultimately shown itself to be right. That's, I mean, coming from Nietzsche, dude, that's That's huge. What's troubling is after Nietzsche does this, within canonical philosophy, no, I don't see a resurgence of sophistry. I don't see anyone making an attempt to revisit methodologically rigorous analysis of contemporary sophistry. Ladies and gentlemen, the video is now publicly accessible to the world, and I would expect that researchers get busy. Because if you don't get busy after I finish all of my mania, I am going to get to writing about precisely this subject. I posted on Facebook, as a matter of fact, today. I don't know when this video will go up. It might go up tomorrow. But I posted it on Facebook today. The scene in Vader, Star Wars, where the Emperor tells him, "Rise." And Vader rises as his sort of automated biological state. It's exactly what this lecture is about. I am doing Nietzsche's dirty work because no one's done it. And I don't know why for the life of me no one's done it or no one's doing it. Nietzsche is attempting to revitalize philosophical considerations of sophistry. I, as a conflict resolutionist, as a negotiator by profession, as a facilitator by profession, as a mediator by profession, am telling you from a point of there isn't anything higher than this. This is like, if you don't take me seriously as someone who has a PhD in philosophy, who teaches in field, who has read Nietzsche, to tell you that it is time for sophistry to get the ball rolling. There needs to be a rebirth of philosophical contemplations on sophistry. If you think that this 50-hour lecture as it is now is all for just putting information out for the sake of just, hey, look at Dr. Campbell, he did a 50-hour series, isn't that a great thing? No, I'm doing this for this moment. This is what this is all for. We haven't really gotten to the Hellenic and the Dionysian yet, which is going to be a freaking academic orgasm. But where we are right now, in the discussion in Nietzsche at this point, it is to reinforce the absolute importance for us to revisit with the most rigorous conceptual analysis the role and function of sophistry in the 21st century. And if you're not going to do it, I'm going to do it. So I'm going to give you guys a running start. And hopefully in 2 years you put out some research. Just give me a shout out. That'd be cool. And if you don't do it, then I will. But I got other things to do, so I'm actually giving this away. I'm literally giving you the idea. Run with it. Just give me a shout out. Right? So sophistry is the old philosophy, and it has ultimately shown itself to be right. Nietzsche gives the sophists a nod. Every advance in epistemological and moral knowledge has restated the sophist. He takes it a level deeper. It's not that just they got it right, but every epistemological and moral knowledge has restated the sophist. You know, Nietzsche would say it's not a footnote to Plato. It's a footnote to Plato, but that's not a good thing. Nietzsche would be like, yeah, it's a footnote to Plato, but that's a bad thing. It's a footnote to Plato because Plato got it wrong. It really is a footnote to the sophists. They got it right. But it's too complex. It's too conceptually complex. It's a very absolutely difficult... I mean, when have you ever seen me spend 2 hours on one section? I've never spent 2 hours lecturing on one section. This is going to be a 2-hour lecture on one section, on 4 notes. I don't know how the hell I'm ever going to get through this freaking book. Right? I can't spend 2 hours on 4 notes, but I'm spending 2 hours on 4 notes. It just hit me what I'm doing, but yeah, I'm spending freaking 2 hours on 4 notes. Literally, how many pages is it? This is 1, 2, 3, on 4 pages. 2 hours of lecture on 4 freaking pages. That's how dense this is. That's how dense this is. And I don't think I'm being redundant. Dude, Nietzsche was a monster, dog. He was a monster. He was a monster.